Okay, day 131 of 365 days of meditation. This morning's practice. Interesting one. It was short by, my standards. It was like 35, 40 minutes. I kind of woke up a little bit later than I had planned, and I had some exercising I wanted to do before I headed into the office. And before I had a meeting in the morning. So, yeah, I got up and had a quick meditation, put the headphones in, set up a song so that it ended sort of 40 minutes or so after I started. That way it would end and I would know it's time to come out of the meditation in as sort of gentle a way as possible. And I was kind of thinking about, the meditation itself. I was sort of a little bit wound up because I find like a half an hour or 40 minutes, it's not always long enough to really drop into a calm state for me. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And this morning, perhaps it wasn't enough time or less than ideal amount of time to get to that sort of calm, relaxed state. But one of the things I did that was different, it was a sort of a deviation from my usual practice, is I usually wrap up my meditation the same way every time. More or less the same way every time. There's sort of variations on how I do it, but same general idea. And that is, I thank myself for taking the time to do the practice, kind of acknowledge myself. And I do it by speaking to myself in a kind way, kind, loving way. And so it's, I sit there, I'm still, the practice ends, and I sort of just acknowledge myself and think to myself, quietly. I'm not speaking it out loud, but thank you, beautiful body. I love you. Thank you, beautiful mind. I love you. Thank you, beautiful heart. I love you. Thank you, beautiful soul. I love you. Thank you, Gregory William Parson. I love you. And, that may seem strange to do, but I think what I'm doing is practicing talking to myself in a kind and loving way, practicing self-compassion, which was definitely not my default before I started doing this in meditation. It definitely felt weird when I started doing it. Even talking about it now still feels a little weird. But it has definitely worked. I noticed that I have way more self-compassion. My default before would be to be very negative and harsh towards myself. I thought the only way I could accomplish anything or do anything was by being hard driving and being hard on myself. And that would be the only way I'd get myself to do anything. I know that that's definitely not true, and encouragement is way more effective than self-chastisement. Is chastisement a word? I'm going to go with chastisement. But anyway, yeah, so I usually do that sort of self-acknowledgement, and then from there, I do sort of an affirmation practice, and it usually goes something like, I'm perfect as I am, I'm right where I should be at this moment in time, I am enough. And again, I don't speak it out loud, but I just sort of think the words. I really focus on the words as I'm thinking them. Sometimes I add to it. Sometimes I might add something like, lately actually, I've been doing more like, I am perfect as I am, I'm right where I should be at this moment in time, I am healing, I'm becoming whole, I am grateful, I am love, I am enough. That's what it's been for quite a while, and I do some sort of variation of that. And again, it's sort of practicing positivity. And I think for some people who are generally positive people, that may sound really strange. But unfortunately, growing up, I trained myself into a very different habitual way of being and thinking about myself, thinking in general, talking about, or, not talking to myself, but the manner in which I sort of speak to myself, subconsciously, quietly, the narration going on in my head tended to be very negative. And so I trained myself through repetition that sort of became the default in the background. And so I'm sort of training myself out of that with this practice, the way I wrap up my meditation. And today the deviation was, normally that's the last thing I do in meditation. And then I sort of, and then I'll come out. And then actually, I'll do one other thing before I come out. I will thank myself again. I'll think, just kind of focus my attention on my body, myself. I'll thank myself again. And then I will focus my attention on kind of the people around me, the planet in its entirety, and sort of thank, everything that is on this planet, just the opportunity to be here and be here with everyone else, everything else that is here, and sort of express gratitude for that, and acknowledge this sort of connectivity that we have with other people. We all breathe the same air, we drink the same water, the same part for most mammals as well, and so there's this definite inherent connectivity. We rely on one another in some sense. Even the fact that we die, we rot, we become soil, and that grows plants that other animals eat. I mean, if you want to talk about the circle of life type thing. And then the last thing I'll sort of focus on is beyond this planet, whatever that is, into the galaxy, the cosmos. Just give thanks for whatever it is that I don't understand, that brings all this together and makes it possible. I'm not a religious person. You can, maybe a religious person would think of it as God. I don't necessarily think of it as that. I just think of it as that which I don't understand. So that makes this possible. So yeah, after giving thanks to those three things, sort of acknowledging them, then I come out of my practice. And that's today. I guess the difference was that I did that probably about 10 minutes before I finished my practice, and then I went back into the relaxed state, and so my mind started wandering again. I didn't come out on that kind of high note. I like to come out on that high note, feeling really good, really positive, really grateful, and that's sort of the place that I really try to feel the words as I'm saying them. And that's what that closing practice gets me into, is a really good place every time I finish meditation, regardless of how difficult the meditation was. And today I didn't do it. I did it about 10 minutes earlier, 5 minutes, 10 minutes earlier. Then my mind was kind of chattering. It was a short meditation. I didn't really get to drop into a really relaxed state and kind of a calmed mind. And so I started going again, and a lot of fear coming up again. It's been a topic lately. I've been thinking a lot about fear, and just how it, creates this cage for our life. And, the only way to get around it is just sort of lean into the unknown, lean into that which we're uncertain about, that which, scares us a little, that which makes us uncomfortable, definitely pulls us out of our comfort zone. And I think that's the only way there's real growth in life. And that's the only way to actually, in my opinion, live a life that you're going to truly enjoy, is to sort of lean into that unknown, lean into that fear. If you're playing it safe, I just don't think human beings, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just me, but I'm definitely not designed to function that way. I don't find life satisfying when I play it safe. And by playing it safe, I mean just kind of get stuck in a groove that feels comfortable and just stay there. I need to get out there and experience some novel experiences, challenge myself, push my limits, see what my limits are, go beyond them. And so I've been thinking a lot about fear in relation to that. And making some strides there in terms of just leaning into things. Sort of, I've heard all this stuff before, but it just seems to be dropping into place for me right now, making more sense, and allowing me to lean into more and more difficult things, more and more change, more rapidly. But as a result of that, and the topic of fear coming up, and my mind wandering a lot in meditation, I ended up in a place of fear of the future again, and thinking about it and kind of obsessing about it. And in doing so, I came out of my meditation in this sort of amped up state that wasn't super pleasant. And that was not ideal, and that, kind of a good reminder as to why I wrap my practice up the way I do normally. Well, I like to practice a little bit longer to ensure that I get into that calm, relaxed state before I wrap up my practice even. And yeah, that's it. And then one more thing on the fear front. It may sound irrational to a lot of people, but to constantly be worrying about things and worrying about negative outcomes. But again, training your mind to habitual ways of thinking and behaving. Live with, in a hypervigilant state with obsessive compulsive disorder for a number of years of your life, and you will undoubtedly habituate yourself to a state of fear and looking for every possible danger and negative outcome that ever could occur, and just making them up even if they're like a 0.0001% chance of happening. That is sort of the insidious nature of OCD in its true form, is that it paralyzes you. It makes it impossible to move forward in your life, to make decisions, to grow, to change. At least for me, it just sort of traps you in this state of, it's not paranoia, but it's definitely fear. And yeah, I guess I feel like I'm really coming out of that lately, which feels quite amazing. So anyway, that was it. That was today's practice. That's where I'm at. That's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling great, other than, a little hiccup in the practice today. Yeah, not much else to report. In closing, if you are struggling at all with your mental health, the point of this 365 days of meditation is to see how it impacts my mental health, and also to bring awareness to mental health in general, by talking about it, by posting, these videos of me talking about it, and hopefully bring, some awareness to how meditation can positively impact your mental health, as it has for me. So yeah, if you're struggling at all with your mental health, talk to somebody. Don't suffer in silence. Don't allow the fear of change, or the fear of the unknown, or the fear of feeling embarrassed or ashamed, or the fear of worrying about being judged as a result of what you're experiencing, if you talk to somebody, prevent you from talking to somebody. For the most part, people are going to be encouraging. They're going to be understanding. They're going to want to help. They're going to offer help. They might be able to relate, and you would have had no idea that they could relate if you hadn't talked to them about it. And you'll be helping yourself, and you'll be helping end the stigma around mental health. That's it for today. Rambling over, the end. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.